Alas, poor Yorick, another bad loss. What once was mighty is no longer mighty. The Ducks, they did it again. They gave up way too many goals. But you know what? I am not in the mood to yell. I have a guest that's going to be a therapist of sorts because I can't do this alone, folks. I just can't. We'll go through all of it on this episode of Locked on Anaheim. Just hit the music already. Hit the music already. And yeah, let's you know what? Let's have therapy together, folks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi guys. How you doing? It's me, Jason JD Hernandez, host of Locked on Anaheim Ducks. I've been covering hockey for a long time, and not often have I seen a lather, rinse, repeat season as I have this year. I'm going to be your partial therapist for today. And gotta remind you, this episode is brought to you by the Gametime app. Download the app from Gametime, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. And you know what? That means you can get it for the next Ducks game for free. Yeah, I can't do this alone anymore. With me here is Gil Martin, or, in French, Gil Martin, host of Locked on Islanders. Gil, how's it going, buddy?
It's going. It's going. I empathize, Jason. I really do. The Islanders
Do you?
were. No, I do. The Islanders struggled through the first 50 games or so of this year before finally finding some consistency over the last 10 games, maybe. So I
Yeah.
feel your pain and your frustration. And I can tell you this: I've been covering the Islanders since 2006. And I remember a lot of midweek games with 6,000 people in the building back in the early to mid to late 2000s, and when they would announce 9,000, 10,000, but you knew it was half that, and it wasn't
Are,
easy. It wasn't easy.
are you saying it looked a little bit empty in the stands tonight on the TV feed? Is that what
It,
you're trying to tell me?
it did indeed. It did indeed. But like I said, when the Islanders were back at the old Nassau Coliseum and they were losing, there were a lot of nights like that at Uniondale as well.
Yep. If the fans don't mind, I'm going to put the earmuffs on. I know it's middle of the show, something I forgot, but you know what? It's fine. Everything's fine, folks. We're doing this live and we're doing this right. Okay. Before I talk about the Isles Ducks game, I need to sympathize with all the Ducks fans that were at the previous game against the Dallas Stars. Are you a fan of the Stars, Gil?
I like the Stars. I do.
Yeah, I mean, they're deep in the heart of Texas. They're low key one of my dark horses to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're just a better team, and they embarrassed the hell out of the Ducks.
Yeah, I hear
I
you.
mean,
I hear you.
it was
And they
really
needed
bad.
the 2 points too. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Dallas is trying to stave off Winnipeg and Colorado for that top spot, and it's so close. But it was Dallas, like, right from the start. Like, literally the first minute that Chris Tanev scored, and I said, "Oh, it's over. It's over right there." I mean, that's how bad this season has been. Is I legit said out loud, like, and I didn't even watch the first goal because I'll admit, I was watching Jeopardy, and I'll tell you why at the end. But I looked on my phone, like, the game just started. It's 1-0. Like, how bad can it be? And then I saw the energy after the first, and there was just like none. The Ducks were already down like 3-0, 4-0. It was just one of those games where they didn't have it at the start and just got curb stomped. Yeah, they played desperate towards the end, as they usually do, but they lost because the Ducks were 6 to their stomach. Haha, see what I did there?
I do.
Yeah. The bright spot, I mean, Alex Killorn got a power play goal, his third consecutive game with the goal. So there's that. The Ducks allowed 3 power play goals on 5 penalties. A couple of those were bad penalties. Gil, I'm going to save the bad penalties talk for later because my big takeaway is the defense, or I'm sorry, lack of defense. Gil, have you ever seen a team with periods of no intensity on the defensive end? And yeah, there was some non-back checking going on, and there was a particular goal that I know you liked where there was a sudden breakaway and 2 Ducks defenders were left in the dust. They were just left behind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, talk about that goal if you can.
Well, that was, I mean, from an Islanders perspective, it was a great pass by Mike Riley to find Kyle Palmieri behind the play. So, that was great. But, again, from a Ducks perspective, you shouldn't allow a guy behind you like that. And, somebody missed an assignment. Maybe 2 players missed an
They both
assignment on
did.
that play. And, again, earlier this year, the Islanders were doing similar things a lot of the time. So, I totally feel your pain in that respect.
This has been an ongoing thing all season long where guys would miss assignments left and right. It's a bad pattern. And some of that falls on the young kids because they are still learning. And I've said this all year long, have patience. However, you could see the talent is there for some of the young guys, but you could also see, as you saw pretty much all game long, is they're still learning the finer aspects of the game. And I don't know if there was any young Ducks player that you saw a shift or two and thought, oh, they're not too bad.
That's an interesting question, and there were moments. I don't know if there were enough of them. From a Ducks standpoint, I mean, Killorn certainly had his moments. I think Max Jones didn't have a bad game overall.
He didn't.
Yeah, I think he looked, pretty good overall at times, and also I would say that Troy Terry certainly did his thing.
He always does.
Exactly, and Vetrano had 6 shots, so that was certainly
Yep.
solid play there, and it was good for as an Islander follower to see Ross Johnston out there. Always liked Ross the Boss, so
Yeah.
but
But just the
it was tough
defense.
to find too many stellar performances by the Ducks last night.
No. And again, like just the big takeaway is just pretty much no defense for a lot of the game. There were a plethora of moments on this game where the back check was almost non-existent. And was it just me, or was there a lot of extended offensive zone time plays for the Islanders on this one? Was it just
Yeah,
me?
no, it was definitely not just you. Uh, it- you know, and yet the Islanders didn't have that many shots on goal.
I
So,
know.
for better or for worse, the Ducks did kind of keep the Islanders to the perimeter. Uh, it's just that when the Islanders got those opportunities, they took full advantage of them. I mean, what was the save percentage in this game?
Not good, not good. So we're not
Yeah.
gonna. I don't want to. I don't want to badmouth Lukas Dostal because I still think he's amazing and he's a future star. But
Yeah, I like him.
last line of defense just had one of those games.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why Dostal's overall numbers in the season is so down is he'll have like 2 or 3 good games and he'll have when he has his bad games, they're not good.
Yeah.
Like
He's
there's
either
no
very good or
middle
very bad.
as at least this season that's true. This season his bad games are really bad, which is unfortunate. But he's still a great goalie.
Yeah. And obviously, like any goalie, I mean, look, last year, Ilya Sorokin was one of the finalists for the Vezina Trophy. He came in second in the voting, only behind Linus Ullmark. And,
Wow.
earlier this year, he was facing 35, 40, 45 shots a game. His statistics are not pretty this year as a result of that. So, uh, having the support in front of a goalie is vital to that goalie having a nice stat sheet at the end of the season.
That's very true. And I think the Ducks not giving much support, even though it was not that many shots on goal, only 19 shots on goal for the Islanders. You do the math, folks. There are other times where you have to help him out, not miss assignments, not let guys get a breakaway in the middle of the ice. I mean, that's possible. And, maybe something else that I'm going to talk about later about penalties. So, yeah. All right. We're going to head to the first intermission right now. If you don't mind sticking around, Gil.
Not at all.
We're actually going to break down further this 6-1 win for the Islanders on the other side. Now, a brief word from Gametime. And folks, if you haven't checked out the Gametime app, what are y'all waiting for? Yeah. Look, I use the Gametime app for a plethora of reasons, including concerts. Apparently, you use it for theater out there because you have excellent theater in New York, Gil.
We do.
But over here, we have a plethora of great sports. You have NBA, MLB, NFL, NHL. Oh, and we have MLS. So we have a lot of events. But also, there are Ducks tickets where you can get last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. And if y'all want to look up here, we have flash deals for the next game against the Minnesota Wild. And folks, look at that. The cheapest all-in price, $25. Doesn't that seem really low, Gil?
It does. It does.
Yeah, I mean, how cheap is it? $25.
Well, parking at UBS Arena is $40, so that tells you a lot.
It's cheaper to go to a Ducks game than to park at UBS.
Correct.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. But if you want to check out the Minnesota Wild, who are risk takers apparently, against the Anaheim Ducks, again, all in for $25, use promo code Locked On to get $20 off from $25. You can go to the game for $5. $5 to see the Ducks against the Minnesota Wild, folks. I kid you not. Oh man. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off from $25. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, lower than parking, guaranteed. $40.
Yeah, I know.
We're here with Gil Martin from Locked On Islanders to break down this, from a Ducks perspective, this horrendous loss to the New York Islanders, 6-1. And as you can see, I got my Ducks jersey over here and my Isles jersey over here. And both anniversary jerseys, by the way, I just got to point out before.
Third jersey, nice, very nice.
With the 50th, I actually went to check out the arena last year and got the patch on it. They put it on like that, super cool. And still my favorite Ducks jersey, aside from the original, is the 25th anniversary jersey.
There you go.
Because
not into the wing, that old third jersey.
Look, it's one of those that's so ugly it's beautiful.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
And as a result, I have one of anyway. I have too many jerseys, Gil.
You and me both.
Yeah, let's actually talk about the game itself. Let's break down this most unusual game in the sense that the Islanders just don't normally score this many goals in a game.
No.
I've seen a lot of 3, 4, but 6. 6 is amongst their highest this season, isn't it, Gil?
It's up there, yeah, it is. And to get the 6 goals, in 19 shots is pretty impressive overall. And yeah, I think a lot of them were high danger shots, rebounds, the breakaway that we had talked about earlier. There weren't a lot of shots, but boy, were they good scoring opportunities. And if you look at the shot chart, all the Islanders' goals were pretty much from in close and in very high danger spaces.
The high danger chances, according to Natural Stat Trick, 13-10 in favor of the Islanders, but it was also a low event game.
Yeah,
Shot attempts were only 50-48 in favor of the Islanders, and that seems kind of low for these two teams.
it was. And I think that partially is to the Islanders' credit because they kind of want to play that way. Patrick Waugh has them being a lot more defensively responsible, playing more as one unit and getting the
Defensively
job done that way.
responsible on defense? Gil, please tell me what that's like. Please tell me what that's like for the
Well,
Islanders.
like I said, before Patrick Waugh was hired, we didn't see that. The Islanders were like very disorganized on defense, turning the puck over, going, spending a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes in their own zone, unable to clear the puck out. The organization that Patrick Waugh
Yeah.
has introduced, and I think you saw a lot of it out there, at the pond last night. It really has made a difference and sort of speaks to the importance of coaching in the NHL.
Which I want to tread carefully with because there were a few fans on Twitter that was a little bit critical of Coach Greg Cronin, and he actually had a few things to say about this game. And I'm just going to pull this quote from Greg Cronin, who was extremely frustrated. So, quote, at some point, people in the room has to take ownership of what's going on here. Come on, it's game 60 something. It's frustrating that we're not taking ownership as a group and applying it in the game. End quote. Does that sound like the words of a coach that is, I'm going to tread very carefully here. He's a little bit exasperated. He's a little bit pissed off. They're not playing as a unit. Contrary to what you just said about Patrick Waugh and the Islanders, is it just me or does it sound like Greg Cronin is kind of losing it a little bit right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's frustrated. And I think the key question is not whether he's losing his temper or getting
Right.
frustrated. It's does he still have the room? And if he still has the locker room, there's hope for improvement. If he doesn't, if the players are starting to tune him out, that's a whole different situation. And obviously, you would have your finger on that pulse a lot more than I would.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like he's lost the room. Again, brand new coach, first year. It
Right.
doesn't sound like he's lost the room. I mean, it sounds like there's a little bit of patience running thin, but I think he's saying this out loud to try to get the players to be more accountable for themselves
Yep.
because he knows what this team is capable of. We've seen it in the past. We saw it in the start of the season when the Ducks were winning a slew of games. And we saw where they had excellent defensive performances. Now, granted, some of those key guys are injured or out, or one of them traded to Edmonton. Sam Carrick, I thought, was one of the better defensive players on the penalty kill. And then you ship him off. Like, he's literally one of your best penalty killers, and he's gone to Edmonton. So part of it, I think, is frustration. Part of it is he just doesn't have the personnel right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
And it'll take time. I mean, a rebuild takes time. And it's not
5-year
always
rebuilds, Gil.
No, I know, but look, it's not always easy to be patient. But when you go through those tough times and the rebuilds, and it takes 2, 3, 4 years, however long it takes, when you get to the other side, I know, but when you get to the other side, it's that much sweeter, and you have to sort of keep your eye on the prize.
And I even said on this podcast, I still don't think the Ducks are ready for the playoffs next year either. To be
Could be.
to be brutally honest, I don't think they're ready next year either.
But can they show progress?
That's a difficult question.
I mean,
I
being
would
healthy
say
is a wild card, obviously, but can they show progress?
compared to last year, there's a little bit of progress in that they are not going to be last place in the league. Would I consider that progress? I mean, sure, I would. I would consider progress in the sense that we've seen the ascent of young guys like Pavel Minchikov, Leo Carlson, who had an up and down game on this one. So Olin Zolliger, by the way, another young kid who was actually out on the power play for a little bit today, and someone
Yeah.
that I've been very high on for a while. So I think I would say progress, not in the macro sense, but in the micro sense. I think you have to look at which players are progressing the most and think of that as a good progression.
Yeah, because you have to, when you're in a rebuild, one of the things you definitely need to do is identify who is going to be part of the core going forward when you get, that team that you think can make that progress as a team.
Mhm.
So, if there's out of the 18 players who are in your everyday roster, if there's 6 or 7 of them who you're going to build around, you need to know who those guys are and move forward and then turn over the rest of the roster.
And I think that's also a problem for the Ducks is I don't think it's 6 or 7 guys right now that can be part of that core. I think right now there's maybe like 3 or 4 guys that you can really build around, but the Ducks, like, they're just missing one more piece. Like, they're missing something else. And I think I would have more confidence in that if Frank Vetrano didn't have just 1 year left on his contract. And as we've seen with the annual sell-off, a lot of those core guys will wind up leaving on an expiring contract. We just saw Adam Henrique, who was a big part of the Ducks for a number of years. He just got traded off with Sam Carrick, expiring contracts. So there's been that thought. I mean, we thought Frank Vetrano would be traded this year.
Right. Well, there were rumors to that effect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the rumors was to New York, but not to the Islanders or the Rangers.
Correct.
Before we get to the final segment, I just want to have a little bit of levity here for you.
Okay.
Because this was an important game for the Islanders. Tell the Ducks fans how important this game was.
Well, for the first time in a long time this year, the Islanders, if the season ended today, would be in the playoffs. So they really needed these 2 points. We go to LA Monday night for a back-to-back, so that won't be easy. So getting these 2 points and winning the first 2 games of this West Coast road trip, big feather in our cap.
Oh, Gil. Oh, Gil.
Sorry.
All right, we're gonna head to the second intermission. I won't fault Gil for that pun.
Thank you.
But we're gonna have a little bit more fun, and I'm going to try to contain myself after this brief second intermission. Stay locked in. Now, a brief word from FanDuel. And folks, if you haven't checked out FanDuel, wherever you can, by the way, then you can say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the NCAA tournament. Gil, what month is it?
March.
Yeah. Oh, the madness. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. My pick, personally, Arizona.
Good choice.
Just visit fanduel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. And Gil, they should gamble responsibly, right?
Absolutely.
We're here with Gil Martin from Locked On Islanders on this crossover edition of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, along with Locked On Islanders. You could tell it's a crossover because there's 2 jerseys here. Yes, Ducks fans, I actually do have all 32 teams now.
You do?
Yay. Yes,
Any defunct teams too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I have a few of those too. So yeah.
One of my favorite ones, the Atlanta Thrashers.
Oh, nice. I have a Kansas City Scouts and a California Golden Seals, and I have an original yellow and royal blue LA Kings jersey also.
What is this royal blue? It's foreign blue.
Yeah, foreign blue. Excuse me. It's purple. So let's cut all that. It's purple.
No,
yeah.
this is purple. No, I'm sorry. This is not purple, Ducks fans. This is eggplant or whatever
That's
you
right.
want to call it this year. Plum, I guess.
Okay, I'll go with plum, but the original Kings jerseys are purple.
You know what? Since we already talked about the Isles being in a playoff spot, we're gonna have a 30-second segment and make fun of the team that they just overtook. I can't talk now. The Islanders have been on a streak recently, aren't they?
6 in a row.
6 in a row. On the flip side, the Detroit Red Wings have a similar streak of the losing kind. And this is where I'm going to make fun of the Red Wings, speaking of jerseys, because ever since they put on that advertisement on their jerseys, they have not won a single game. And it's a garbage company, by the way. So the jokes write themselves. I mean, is it possible to have a jersey ad curse?
Yeah, probably.
And first off, if you're going to put on an ad, don't do it during the middle of a winning streak. Like, players are superstitious.
Yeah.
Any little change that happens, something catastrophic could happen. Catastrophic for the Red Wings, but not for you. I mean, you're laughing and telling jokes and puns.
I wasn't even trying on that pun, by the way. Kind of just slipped out, but okay.
But if the Isles get at least a point, they'll have that spot outright.
Right. I mean, right now we have a game in hand, so that's why we're technically ahead of the Red Wings, but we're tied in points.
But I got to be honest, the Red Wings are free falling so much. I don't think they're going to recover from this.
I hope you're right. And I hope we could catch the Flyers and maybe, or the Lightning and move up a little bit. But it's close. The standings are very tight.
Are you saying you're going to root for the Ducks later this week when they play the Lightning?
I root for the Ducks a lot, but yes, I am saying that. So
doubly so, right?
Yes, even more. Yes.
All right, you heard it, Ducks fans. We have a supporter for the game against Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, at least one win. All right, so you see on the breakdown over there, this is going to be my moment to try to contain myself because the Ducks need to stop taking dumb penalties.
Wait. Take a deep breath. Now, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to start with the Stars game. They know that Dallas is one of the best special teams in all the land. Dallas is extremely good at the power play, and yet they gave them 5 opportunities. Dallas, of course, scored on 3 of them because of course. And then against the Islanders. First, I'm going to get to the bad penalties. I don't know which penalty was worse. Was it that hugging penalty in the first period where you just couldn't let it go? I mean, yes, Gus Lidstrom just, wrapped Kyle Palmieri for a second and got away with it at first. And then he kept hugging him.
They were having a moment.
Was it just me or was that just a silly penalty?
It was a foolish penalty, and it was ill. And then you had the other penalty in the offensive zone. So,
that was bad too.
Yeah,
that offensive zone penalty was bad. The Dostal penalty, just hurling the puck over the glass, that was bad.
Yep, and then you had the extra 2-minute unsportsmanlike.
That was the worst one. That was the worst one.
It was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, okay. The Ducks have probably done the most of these kind of penalties. Gil, what is the one penalty that you cannot blame on the refs?
Delay a game.
And what's the other one?
Too many men.
Yep. The Ducks lead the league in too many men penalties. Luckily, they didn't take one on this game. But when you are a team that has double-digit too many men penalties in the season, you know it's bad.
Yeah.
When you're a team that has as many delay of game penalties as you do, that's bad. When you're a team that has just many unsportsmanlike penalties, and especially when the ref is right freaking there, and you say something to the ref and slam the door right at the ref as he's right there, of course he's going to call the extra 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Of course he is. And that power play goal, which, again, I will give credit to the Islanders, that was a sick, just beautiful passing goal, like a tic-tac-toe goal on the power play. I'll admit it, that was a beautiful goal, but that was on the second part of the power play.
Yes, barely, but yes.
So if Alex Killorn hadn't taken that extra 2 minutes, he would have been out on the ice and probably would have prevented that. So,
Temper.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Yeah.
And you've covered the Islanders. You've covered some teams where they were like that at times. We think back to
there were teams that were out of it by Thanksgiving, where they just, no, I'm serious. November, first string goalie Rick DiPietro, he got hurt. Backup goalie got hurt. They called up
season, yeah.
Yeah, they called up 2 AHL goalies and spent the rest of the regular season playing with them.
Yep.
They had like a 0-11-3 swoon in November, and you knew
And that was it.
was over. It was over.
So help me out here. These are bad penalties without question, right? These are avoidable, right? These are preventable.
Yes.
And I think that needs to be one thing that the Ducks need to work on is discipline, right?
Yeah.
And just talk from your perspective, like when you saw this with past Islanders teams, like how big a deal is that?
It's a very big deal because it's so frustrating. You can do better. It's almost like common sense, and you're just not getting it. It happens. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Well, the Islanders were at that point insane, and they just kept taking the same foolish penalties. It can change. It does eventually change, whether it's the team getting more talent, whether it's the team buying into the coach's system, or just learning whether the light eventually just comes on. It can get better.
Oh, my light just came on because you just mentioned coaching right there. And I didn't even consider that at the time I just said it. But now that we're circling back, that kind of harkens back to that quote that I mentioned with Greg Cronin. I think that feeds into part of it as well. Like Cronin's going to be frustrated with the players because they're taking these bad penalties, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, to say something, usually what happens with a coach, at first they'll back their players to the press, but say something to them in the locker room. When they start saying stuff to the media, hey, my guys got to do better, or they can't keep taking that's the next level. So whether the players respond to the public tongue lashing or not, that's the next level of the coach trying to get through to the players.
Yeah, one more quote. And by the way, hat tip to Derek Lee on this one. Cronin also said this: "We got educated by an older veteran team that knows how to win. They played an efficient game." Oh, that's the nail in the head right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Islanders did what they had to do to win. And when they had the 3-0 lead, after that point, it didn't look like there was really any point where I would say, oh, no, we're going to blow this lead. So it was over pretty quickly, unfortunately, for the Ducks.
Yeah. I think we circled back to I forgot if there was something else I was going to circle back on, but I think we covered everything.
Okay.
On this one. I know we made fun of the Red Wings, so I know we did that.
Check that box, yeah.
Yeah, and I know I talked about the bad penalties and the 6 consecutive. We have to look ahead because this is actually very important for the Islanders, but also kind of important for the Ducks because I hate to say it, the tank is on for the Ducks. I know what I can say, and I know I got to be careful sometimes, but look, it's tank mode. The Ducks are playing the Chicago Blackhawks on a game. I wasn't going to say it. You said it for me. Loser takes all. No, the Blackhawks are too far behind in the standings. I mean, the Ducks could let the Blackhawks win. It probably would not matter at this point. But there's a game against the Minnesota Wild. And that can be a very particularly fun game for the Ducks because Minnesota, they've had some adventures this season. They're also one of those middling teams that are trying to get into the playoff race. Yep. And then the Ducks have a 2-game this is all on the road trip. Then they go north of the border to Winnipeg and then play the Blues. Ducks fans, I'm just going to say this right now. Look forward to the draft lottery in a couple of months. I think that's what I want to get in. Look forward to that, folks. All right, we're gonna wrap this up here. Gil, tell the fine folks where they can find you and your work and all that jazz.
Well, I host Locked On Islanders every Monday through Friday. You could find it wherever you find Locked On Ducks. And I also host Locked On NHL on Mondays and co-host it on Fridays. So check us out at Locked On NHL.
Awesome. And you could follow me on X at StimpyJD. The show's X is at LO_X. Gil's X is at Ice Wars NYR versus NYI. So check him out on the Twitter sphere. You can also email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. I'm debating whether I want to open up the mailbag again because it's been a long season.
It's group therapy.
Maybe we need group therapy. Maybe. But also you could find me and my dulcet tones at Acrisure Arena doing the public address for the Coachella Valley Firebirds, if I haven't announced a ton of goals, that is. And yeah, host Locked On Anaheim Ducks, do PA for a lot of stuff. Oh, that's what it was. I had to give the shout out. That's what it was. I remembered. Got to give a shout out to the Ontario Junior Reign, who won the Pacific Division crown. They are headed to the USPHL Nationals in Utica, New York. So got to give my shout out to another team I do PA for, the Ontario Junior Reign, taking it all the way, beating Fresno. Finally, someone beat that team. And they're headed to Nationals. So just got to give my props to them. Gil, thanks for coming on once again. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll talk again soon. For Locked On Isles and Locked On Ducks, for myself, I'm Jason JD Hernandez saying, and that's Gil Martin saying, have a great rest of your evening. Please remember to be safe out there. Please be kind to one another, including the Ducks fans. And Ducks fly together. Yes, they do. They fly together with those feathers, right, Gil?
That's right.